Alright, so we have EQ'd the snare, we've EQ'd the kick, we've compressed both of them, and we've heard them together a little bit. So let's go ahead and hear each one without the plugins on them. So I'm holding Command and clicking the plugins to bypass them. And let's hear them all together soloed. So we got snare bottom, snare top, and kick. Alright, now let's hear them with the plugins applied. Whew. I can already tell I'm going to get some comments that compression is a little heavy on the snare, but you know, this is a tutorial. It's like, I'm just showing you guys what's going on here. I kind of like that crunch. It's gritty, it's dirty, it's gnarly, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm sure a lot of people could argue that there's absolutely nothing right about it either. So it's just what it is. It is what it is. It's a super compressed snare, and we're going to leave it that way for now. Okay, so the snare bottom, snare top, and kick are good to go. Let's take a look at the toms. Let's find a good tom spot. And you'll notice if you didn't see the earlier videos that the toms look a lot cleaner than any of the other tracks. Like, for instance, we have some tom hits here, and then there's nothing here, and it's like, whoa, how's it so clean? You solo the toms, and then again, they're outputting into bus 1 and 2 into the tom bus, which is going to 9 and 10, which is the drum mix, 9 and 10. And I'm soloing them, but I can't hear anything. It's so strange. What's the deal? Well, I cleaned the toms out earlier. So we got toms here, if I solo the toms again. Did you hear that snare? That really shouldn't be there. But the tom bleed out kind of goes through the snare, so I left the snare there. But if I cleaned it out like I cleaned the rest of the track, I would come here, delete that, select the end of the tom, hit Command F to fade it out. Yeah, see, we don't have much of a trail from the tom when we do that. Later, we're going to bypass that and it won't matter. But for now, we really want that trail. So we got to leave that snare in there. We could do something else. I mean, we could separate it by hitting B. Now they're separate. And then we could go up to View. You might already see what I'm going to do right now. Clip gain info. You might already see that. What that is a gain. So, you know, you can hold it, hold Command, and then bring it down. You know, 4 dB looks good. Bring this one down 4 dB. And I'm able to do it incrementally in tenths like that because I'm holding down Command while I hold the mouse, like have the mouse clicked in. And so I have more control. So let's see what that sounds like. So yeah, so the snare is lower, but it's really not that much lower. So we just got to leave it in there if we want the trail. But beyond that, we need to EQ those bad boys. So let's find an isolated tom one hit, which is the Rack Tom, which is this guy right here. Cool. That timing's pretty good that I isolated it in. The reason it's looping is because if you right click on the play button, loop is checked and you have the little circular deal on the playhead there. Alright, let's EQ this tom. So we're going to go to inserts. I have my default set to Fab Filter Pro Q2. I can see the frequency response that we're doing right now. There's all kinds of information in here I don't need. See that? See how the low midge just, listen to what we got rid of. By holding this headphone, you can hear what we got rid of. Who wants that in their mix? Dum, dum. We got rid of that. So now we just have the warmth of the mix. This would be called subtractive EQing because we're not boosting anything, but as you may have known from a previous video, I'm not a subtractive EQer. Sweet. Let's take a look at that plugin looking real big. Oh yeah. That's Tom 1, baby. The Rack Tom. We can change it so it's 3 dB so we can really see the change in frequency, or we can take it down to 30 so we don't see much change. What would happen? Look at how powerful this EQ is. Check this out. I'll do it on the low end. If you're at home and it's late right now and you have a subwoofer, turn that sucker down. Here we go. Notice how it was peaking? Well, check this out. Where is it? Oh, it's down here. If you click the A, that's auto gain. Watch this. Watch this. The meter's going to auto gain compensate now. That is why the Pro Q is amazing. Pro Q is amazing. Please go get one. They're $199 at fabfilter.com. I don't work for them, I promise, but they sure as hell work hard to work for you, man. It's amazing. Okay, anyway, that's enough about the Pro Q. Every video I talk about that freaking plugin. All right, so that's Tom 1. That's the Rack Tom right there. He's nice and EQ'd. You might be noticing with my technique, I love to cut mids out. I love to add high end and low end. This comes in handy later. And just listen to it. Before, after. I mean, I love that. Okay, let's do Tom 2. Let's put a Pro Q there. And yeah, he wasn't hitting the second tom very hard there. Let's find somewhere where he is. Ooh, there we go. There we go. I like to get it a little close to timing. Look at all that frequency response. It's almost like flat right across the board. Could have been miking technique. I don't remember how I mic'd it, but it was a 57. I know that at about a 45. So we don't need any of this middle, you know? We don't need it. Whoa, that's crazy. See, that's the Pro Q right there. That's a new feature. You can like grab the actual frequency that was peaking. That's so badass. Okay. We don't need that mid information. But we want that low. Oh yeah. And we want the high. But you see, you can hear why you want to clean the toms out, because that cymbal bleed that's kind of knocking through, you can hear it, but it's not that bad. In the mix, the tom's going to take over it, but imagine if that crackly cymbal was there throughout the whole song. That would be bad. Still, I want to cut as much of that high-end cymbally stuff out, so I put a cut of 96 decibels on it, on this double click I just did over here. I'm going to cut it down, listen to it. Sounds pretty good without sacrificing too much of the tom. All right, so let's listen to the toms together. How about over here? Sound awesome. Now, you can do a number of things here. You can compress them individually, or you can compress the bus that they're going into. I'm going to go ahead and compress the bus that they're going into. And let's check that out. They have any presets for toms. Tom's tight. I don't really like that, but anyways, let's just go back to the default. There we go. A little compression, nothing too crazy. Make sure I'm not peaking. A little peaking. I'll bring it down a little bit here. Okay, I think that sounds fine. Now you'll notice they're mono. You can make toms mono if you want. For this project, I'm not going to. I'm gonna pan them a little bit. So am I looking at the drummer? If I am looking at the drummer, then the floor tom's gonna go left, the rack tom's gonna go right. If I am the drummer, the rack tom's gonna go left, the floor tom's gonna go right. I think I'm going to be the drummer, so I'm gonna put this guy around 50, about halfway left. Floor tom about halfway left. Let's listen to that. Pretty spectacular change. Cool. Okay, great. Toms are EQ'd, compressed. Snare is EQ'd, compressed. Kick is EQ'd and compressed. So, real quick, let's listen to those tracks without anything on them. Alright, let's listen to it with what we've done, just with a little bit of EQ and compression. Okay, I gotta do something real quick. That snare, I mean, it's compressed and that's great, but I gotta back it off a little bit. And there's just something else it needs. I'm gonna try a little bit of reverb here. I'm gonna use the stereo deverb that's native. I've been running into issues with the DSP version that runs off the cards. So I'm gonna use a room, a small room. Yeah, you know, we'll get there. It's not something we have to deal with right now. Let's check it out in a chorus. Could be an EQ thing. I'm going to add an EQ post everything. Throw that auto gain on it. I think that helped a lot, adding that EQ. Okay, cool. Let's listen to the final mix and hear what it sounds like. Cool. Yeah. So not bad. Okay. One last thing that we should do on this video before we move on is let's put some bus compression on the drums. So here we go. Let's use the DSM. All right, so use this bad boy. You can get it from it's a little expensive, but you can get it from Plugin Alliance. So first you want to capture the info by holding the capture button, and then you take the threshold down and the gain up. Okay, so we have added bus compression to the whole drum set. We've EQ'd the toms, the snare, and the kick. Now we just need to mess with the cymbals, so let's do that.